Good evening and welcome to Baiju's Exam Prep. It's Saturday evening, and if you're here with me, I can safely assume that you are a serious civil services aspirant. And now that you're here, stay with me for the next 1 hour or so, and we are going to discuss something very, very important. We are going to understand the syllabus of the civil services examination, popularly known as the IAS exam. Whenever an individual decides to prepare for the civil services examination, every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a ready advice. Read NCERTs, read the Hindu newspaper or the Indian Express, read M. Lakshmikant or D.D. Basu for polity, read this, read that. But do you know what? UPSC does not recommend NCERTs. UPSC does not recommend either the Hindu or the Indian Express. UPSC does not recommend any book, any newspaper, any magazine, any website, nothing. But there are only two documents released by the UPSC officially. And unfortunately, more often than not, majority of the aspirants neglect these two official documents. And I beseech you, I urge you, please do not neglect these two documents. These are the most important documents for your examination. And which are these two documents which are often neglected by the civil services aspirants? One is the syllabus, and the other is previous year's question papers. So UPSC does not recommend any book, any newspaper, any magazine, any website. But the only two documents which are released by the UPSC officially, these are the syllabus and the previous year's question papers. Please do not neglect them. Why? By understanding the syllabus of this examination, you will find answer to the most important question, which is what to study. And by looking at the previous year's question papers, you will find answers to the two other equally important questions, which are how to study and what not to study. For example, and I will explain the significance, the importance of these two documents. Because if these are the only two documents officially released by the UPSC, imagine the significance of these two documents. Number one, the other day I was talking to a parent and her child. She was here to seek counseling. She had sought admission in our live classroom program, and now she reached out to us and she basically wanted guidance. And I asked this girl child, what is it that you have to study to crack the civil services examination? And she said something surprising. She said, sir, we have to read everything under the sun, which is not true. You do not have to read everything under the sun. There is a well-defined syllabus for this examination, for prelims as well as for mains examination. So this is a myth. It's a misconception that you have to read everything under the sun. You don't have to do that because there is a syllabus for this examination. So by understanding the syllabus of this examination, you will find answer to the most important question, which is what to study. And by looking at the syllabus, you will realize that you have to study polity, economics, geography, history, art and culture, ethics. You have to take an optional subject. So what to study? You will find an answer to this question by looking at the syllabus of this exam. But the story does not end here. Even if you know what to study, you will also need to understand how to study and what not to study. Let me try and address this question first, what not to study. I asked her, if you have to study everything under the sun, then which are the books that you need to refer? She said, sir, I looked at the syllabus and it was mentioned that we have to study polity, economics, geography, Society of India. And for that, I have bought this book. Can you please check if this is the book that I should refer? It was a book, I won't name the publication. It was a book, General Studies for UPSC, 5,000 MCQs on polity, economics, geography. So this is one book which covers everything that is mentioned in the syllabus. So if I follow this book, if I read this book, if I mug up this book, I will be in a position to crack this exam. Don't read such books. You don't have to read a compilation, one book which contains all the subjects of this examination. Don't do that. That is a waste of time. That is not going to help you crack this examination. And how do we know that? By looking at the previous year's question papers. So if we know what is the syllabus, that alone does not help, because then we have to look at the previous year's question papers, because previous year's question papers will tell us what not to study. So such a book you don't have to study. And then how to study. For example, the syllabus for this exam, major subjects such as polity, economics, geography, history, these subjects, listen to me carefully, these subjects you have to read and follow for other exams as well. For example, SSC, for example, State Public Service Commission, for example, for various other government exams. But the syllabus appears same, books appear same, the topics appear same. But how to study for state exams, for one-day exams, for SSC exams is completely different from how you study for UPSC. How? I'll give you one example. You have to study polity for all these exams. And in polity, you may be asked a question, how many schedules are there in the Indian Constitution? Question is, how many schedules are there in the Indian Constitution? 7, 10, 11, 12. This is a question that can be asked in your SSC exam. This is a question that can be asked in your one-day exams, local exams, but this is not the question that will be asked in your UPSC. UPSC will specifically focus on one schedule, let's say 5th schedule of the Constitution, and will ask you what happens when an area is placed under 5th schedule of the Constitution. Then 4 options will be provided and you have to pick the right answer. And this is the question which was asked in prelims 2021. So although subjects appear common, same, similar for various exams, including the UPSC, but by looking at the syllabus and linking it with previous year's question papers, you will find answers to the 3 most important questions, which is what to study, how to study, what not to study. And by looking at the entire pattern of this examination, we realize that the most important aspect of this examination is current affairs. What is current affairs? Everything that is happening in India and outside India, which is having an impact on India, that is relevant for your exam. But sir, when we open a newspaper, this is the question that you must be struggling to find an answer to. Sir, when I open the newspaper, do I have to read from page 1 till page end? Do we have to read every newspaper article which is mentioned in the newspaper? Because if I read everything, then it is going to take me a lot of time. I will be spending the entire day just by reading the newspaper. So what do? Take a printout of the syllabus. Now listen to me carefully. Take a printout of your syllabus, paste it on the wall so that you mug up, you remember, you memorize everything that is mentioned in the syllabus. So that once you have memorized everything that is mentioned in the syllabus, then you open a newspaper. If this newspaper article is related to your syllabus, read this. If it is not related to your syllabus, skip it. So the most important document that you have to keep in mind, for God's sake, is the syllabus. Please do not neglect that. Syllabus is going to be your guiding light, because syllabus will tell you what to study, what not to study, how to study. And we realize the significance of current affairs. For example, last year, something dramatic happened in Afghanistan. It was the return of Taliban in Afghanistan. Taliban took over the Afghanistan. And ultimately, the question asked by UPSC in prelims exam was, which are the countries which border Afghanistan? So something is happening not in India, something is happening outside India, but it has an impact on India. It becomes relevant for your examination. The takeover of Afghanistan has a relevance for India because we share borders with Afghanistan. Now you will tell me, sir, how do we share the borders? We don't share the borders with Afghanistan. but we do share. Why? Because there is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, illegally occupied by Pakistan, which we claim is legitimate part of the territory of India. And one part of this Pakistan occupied Kashmir shares border with Afghanistan. So in essence, we share border as a nation with Afghanistan as well. So that is something that you will have to keep in mind. Three important things. Syllabus, take a printout of this on your study table, on your study wall, paste it, memorize it, so that whatever you read, if it is relevant to your syllabus, read it. If not, then you can skip this. And keep constantly track of the previous year's question paper, so that once you read a topic, you also understand what sort of questions can be asked from this topic in the civil services examination. And for that, current affairs plays a very, very important role. Now, let me tell you something equally important. There is a defined syllabus for this exam. Prelims, mains, the syllabus is defined. And today we are going to talk about general studies. What is general studies? Because civil services examination is a three-tier examination system. There are three stages of this exam. Prelims, followed by main, and then the personality test. And if you qualify all these three stages in one go, then depending upon your rank, depending upon your preference, you can become an IAS, an IPS, an IFS, an IRS officer. And in prelims and mains examination, the most important aspect of the syllabus is general studies. And today we are going to exclusively throw light on general studies syllabus, so that we understand how the syllabus has been structured by UPSC and how can you crack this exam, which is considered to be the mother of all examinations, the most difficult exam in this world. You can crack this exam if you understand the syllabus and if you understand what sort of questions are asked by UPSC. This is the syllabus for prelims exam, which basically means you have to study polity, economics, geography, history. Then you have to study environment and ecology, science and technology. And then there is something called current affairs, current events of national and international importance. This is prelims. But when it comes to the mains examination, there are 4 GS papers: GS 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are some subjects which are exclusively for mains examination. For example, ethics, integrity, and aptitude is exclusively for mains examination. Subjects such as world history is exclusively for your mains examination. But apart from these two, everything can be asked in either the prelims or the mains examination. Anything, everything can be asked in prelims or the mains examination. But when we look at the mains examination, the syllabus is slightly more defined. So every topic is mentioned in the syllabus. And what you have to do, make notes. Make notes of every topic that is mentioned in the syllabus by following one book and linking it with current affairs. And today I'm going to tell you how. You will be advised by a lot of people that study these books, study multiple books. But if you trust me, with hand on my heart, I will not misguide you, because I have no incentive to misguide you. Please follow one book. Read it multiple times. One book per subject. So for polity, one book. For economics, one book. For art and culture, one book. For world history, one book. But then link it with current affairs. Now you might want to know, sir, why are you always talking about current affairs? Tell us, prove, show the significance of current affairs. Listen to me carefully. I told you that when it comes to the mains examination, the syllabus is well defined. Every topic is mentioned. And what you have to do, just take a look at the topic, make notes of it from the book and link it with current affairs. One such topic, for example, is accountability. I teach polity for the civil services aspirants, which is part of GS paper 2. Listen to me carefully. GS paper 2, one aspect of GS paper 2 is polity governance. In governance, there is a topic mentioned called accountability. What is accountability? Let's say, for example, I am a government civil servant, or I'm a government servant. Let's say I work in public works department, which is responsible for laying down roads, for example, or setting up buildings, hospitals, for example. And I see that there is corruption. I see that there is corruption. So what I do, I blow the whistle. I am a whistleblower. Who is a whistleblower? I am a government servant. I'm a government employee working in public works department. Public works department is responsible for constructing a school building or a hospital. And I see that there are some officers who misuse this money, who indulge in corruption, who basically pocket the money, which should ideally be going for the construction of this hospital. Then what I do, I complain to authorities saying that there is corruption in public works department. And ultimately, who am I? I am a whistleblower. And this entire aspect, we need to have some structures in place so that we can fix the accountability. We have to fix accountability. Those who are spending the money, where are you spending the money? Are you spending it wisely or not? Or are you misusing this money? Are you indulging in corruption? There has to be some amount of accountability. And accountability is one topic mentioned in your UPSC syllabus for GS paper 2. Every newspaper article related to accountability you will have to read. Because what did I tell you? I tell you, look at the syllabus and then look at the newspaper. If there is a subject, if there is a topic, if there is a newspaper article which is mentioned in the newspaper, if it is related to your syllabus, read it. If it is not, skip it. Now, by reading a newspaper article, I read a newspaper article related to whistleblowers protection, which basically means if I'm blowing the whistle, if I'm complaining to the authorities that there is corruption in my department, there is also going to be a threat to me. Somebody may just kill me. My superiors, they will transfer me to a remote location. They will suspend me, or they will put some charges on me because I exposed their corrupt dealings. I exposed the corruption in the construction of this school or a hospital or a road. So there has to be some protection to this whistleblower who is blowing the whistle. The year was 2015 when a law called Whistleblowers Protection Act, it was sought to be amended by the parliament. 2015 May. This is scroll.com. A scroll is basically a web portal which looks into various current affairs topics, explains them. So it's basically a news portal. Just like we have Wire, just like we have print, there is Scroll. Scroll put out a newspaper article and the title was, if amendments to Whistleblowers Act are passed, there may be no one left to protect. So 2015 May, there was a newspaper article which talks about Whistleblowers Protection Amendment Act. Do I have to read this topic? Yes. Why? Because it is related to accountability, which is part of my GS paper 2. And on this topic, I will expect a question in the mains exam. This was in May 2015, few months later, when the mains exam was conducted. Do you know what sort of question was asked by the UPSC? You will be surprised. And I want to surprise you because I want to underline the significance of current affairs. And to surprise you, read this headline again. If amendments to Whistleblowers Act are passed, there may be no one left to protect. This is the title of a news article. And few months later, a question was asked of 12.5 marks by UPSC. And look at the question. If amendment bill to the Whistleblowers Act 2011 passed in the parliament, tabled in the parliament is passed, there may be no one left to protect. Critically evaluate. So same topic, headline, which was there in a newspaper or a news portal, same topic was asked by UPSC as well, even without changing the words. That's the significance of current affairs. So for that, what you need to do, take a look at syllabus. Memorize the syllabus. If you memorize the syllabus, trust me, There is no power on earth that can stop you from cracking this examination. Because when you memorize the syllabus, then you know what to study. But then link it with previous year's question papers and current affairs. And by linking it with current affairs and previous year's question papers, you will find answers to two equally important questions, which is how to study and what not to study. And how to study? Take a look at any book, one book per subject, plus keep a track of current affairs. So every topic that is mentioned in your syllabus, make notes by reading books or attending lectures or going to a coaching class, whatever you want to do. The idea is just to complete the syllabus, because once you complete the syllabus, then you can practice answer writing as well. And mains is all about answer writing. In mains, you will have to answer questions in 150 words, 250 words. So today, if you have just started your preparation, and I will tell you, write in 200 words, how is the President of India elected? Because there will be elections to the office of the president. I'm going to ask you, tell me, write, how is the President of India elected? You may not be in a position to write because you have just started your preparation. But 2 months later, when you have completed Indian polity, and I'm going to ask you, tell me in 200 words, how is the President of India elected? You will be confused. Sir, I can write in 500 words, 600 words, 700 words. But you are asking me to write in 200 words. It is becoming difficult because I don't know what to include, what to exclude, what to mention, what not to mention. What are the important points that I should mention in my answer so that I can get good marks in the UPSC examinations? That is why answer writing is an art. Because few months down the line, you will have enough information, you will gather enough knowledge, and now you'll be faced with a challenge. How do I restrict the kind of knowledge that I have and come up with an answer which is in 150 words or 250 words? Answer writing is important. And when you make notes, listen to me carefully. When you make notes, it is not time consuming, my dear. It is time saving. Because when you make notes, you're also revising in your mind. When you make notes, you understand which are the important points that I have to mention. So you are learning the art of answer writing as well, revision as well, memorizing as well when you're making notes. And then, for example, you have to make notes on whistleblower. Just search on Google Whistleblower Protection Act. Which are the changes? So look at the provisions of this law, look at how people are criticizing this law, and look at the arguments of those who are also praising this law. So for this examination, you will have to have a critical mind. Any policy of the government of India will have two aspects. There will be some positive aspects of this law or a scheme or a policy. There will be negative aspects of this provision as well, of this policy as well. You have to understand the pros and cons of the entire system. That means when you make notes of every topic that is mentioned in your syllabus, make notes, link it with current affairs. If there is a development, for example, amendment to the Whistleblower Act, write the arguments in favor as well, write arguments against as well. Now, depending upon what sort of question is asked in the examination, you will have to write. So when the question is asking you, critically evaluate. That means you have to write the pros of these changes as well as the cons of these changes. So you have to understand the best of both worlds, arguments in favor, arguments against. And then this topic is over. Then jump to the other topic, then jump to the third topic. And this way you are going to complete your syllabus. To emphasize more on current affairs, this is the question which was asked in mains 2021. United States is facing an existential threat in the form of a China. And this China that is much more challenging than the erstwhile Soviet Union. Last year, there was a trade war between United States and China. Trade war. China was imposing tariffs on the goods coming from United States. United States was also imposing tariffs on the goods coming from China, basically imposing heavy taxes on the goods coming from each other's countries. And this led to a trade war between the two countries. Every critic, every commentator, every author, every writer was talking about this new rivalry between United States and China, because they said this is going to be more dangerous than the Cold War. And this Cold War was between United States and USSR. Sir, what is this Cold War? After the Second World War, the world became bipolar. Two superpowers emerged, United States, USSR. And then the tug of war between these two countries, not even a single bullet was fired. But the agony, but the problems between these two countries were so severe that we thought that at any point in time, these two countries will go for a war. And this Cold War ended in 1991 with the dismemberment of the USSR, when USSR collapsed and collapsed into multiple countries. And when this trade war was going on between China and United States, every commentator said this trade war is going to be even more horrible than the erstwhile rivalry between United States and USSR, Cold War. And that is the question that was asked. So in current affairs, you don't have to only look at, listen to me carefully, in current affairs, you don't have to only look at what is happening within the country. You will also have to look at what is happening outside the country. If what is happening outside the country is going to impact India. And this rivalry between United States and China has affected India. How? That's how we are now part of Quad. What is Quad? A group of countries. Australia, Japan, India, United States of America. What are they trying to do? They are trying to come together to counter the rise of China in our neighborhood. And Quad, one of the brainchild behind this Quad was Shinzo Abe, unfortunately, who was assassinated in Japan, the former premier of Japan. So this rivalry between United States and China is having an impact on India. That is why we have other groups such as Australia, United Kingdom, and United States as well. Various groups have been created to counter the rise of China in our neighborhood. So anything which is happening in India and anything which is happening outside India, which has an impact on India, that is current affairs and that you have to prepare for your examination. But now let me tell you something even more significant. Stay with me. This is something very, very important. What is the fundamental difference between prelims and mains examination? What is the fundamental difference between prelims and mains exam? Now, don't tell me, sir, prelims is about MCQs, multiple choice questions. There will be a question provided, 4 options. We have to pick the right answer, the most appropriate answer. And in mains, we will have to write subject to answers in 150 words, in 250 words, depending upon the requirement of this examination. But in prelims examination, UPSC will judge you on 2 things. Whether you have the factual knowledge and whether you have the conceptual clarity or not. The kind of questions that UPSC will ask in prelims examination will test whether you know the facts, whether you understand the concepts. These are the 2 things that UPSC will judge you, will test you for. What about mains? In mains also, UPSC will focus on 2 things. Analysis, elaboration. Analysis of what? Analysis of the same facts and concepts that you have studied for prelims exam. Elaboration of the same facts and concepts that you have studied for your prelims exam. So if the syllabus is more or less common for both prelims as well as for mains exam, does that mean our approach to prelims as well as mains will have to be the same? With the exception of ethics and world history, almost every subject is relevant for prelims as well as mains examination. then should our approach be common, be same for both prelims as well as mains examination? No, because in prelims exam, UPSC will focus on facts and concepts, and in mains, UPSC will focus on analysis of those facts, elaboration of those concepts. How do we know that? Take a look at the syllabus again, because syllabus is going to be your guiding light. If you master syllabus, you are clearing this examination. Syllabus tells us one aspect of GS paper 2, polity, the subject that I teach. One topic is appointment to various constitutional posts. So when you read this line, appointment to various constitutional posts, now you will have to search which are these constitutional posts, and I have to read all these constitutional posts. Because what did I tell you? Syllabus will tell you what to study. So if syllabus tells you appointment to various constitutional posts, that means you have to read Comptroller and Auditor General, Chief Election Commissioner, Election Commissioners, Chairperson and members of Finance Commission, Union Public Service Commission, State Public Service Commission, because all these are constitutional posts. Appointment to various constitutional posts, that's your topic. So I have to study all the constitutional posts, which is Comptroller and Auditor General, which is Election Commissioner, which is Chief Election Commissioner. One such constitutional post is Attorney General for India. That means I have to study this. But now look at the previous year's question papers, because previous year's question papers will tell you how to study. Because Attorney General for India can be asked in any other exam. In other exams, one-day exams, SSC, you may be asked who is the current Attorney General for India, or who was the first Attorney General for India. That's the question that can be asked in these one-day exams. But for UPSC, prelims will focus on something else, mains will focus on something else. In prelims examination, this was the question asked. Consider the following statements. Attorney General for India can take part in the proceedings of the Lok Sabha, be a member of a committee of the Lok Sabha, speak in the Lok Sabha, vote in the Lok Sabha. Which of these statements given above is or are correct? Who is Attorney General for India? For example, you and me have a dispute. You are telling me that this studio is mine. I'm telling you this studio is mine. Now there is a dispute. What do I tell you? I will see you in court. I'll file a case in the court of law. There will be a lawyer to defend you. There will be a lawyer to defend me, right? But what if you are central government? What if I'm filing a case against the central government? There has to be a lawyer of the central government who will defend the central government in the Supreme Court and various courts of this country. Who is that lawyer? That lawyer is the Attorney General for India. But as Attorney General for India, he has some privileges. What are the privileges? I am the Attorney General for India. I can be present in the Parliament. Am I a member of the Parliament? No. I am the Attorney General for India. I am not the member of the Parliament, but I can come to the Parliament. I can sit in the Parliament. I can speak in the Parliament. I can be part of any committee of the Parliament. So Parliament can create some committees. I can be part of that parliamentary committee as well. I can speak in these committees. But the only thing that I cannot do, I cannot vote in the Parliament. I cannot vote in the Lok Sabha. Why? Because I am not a member of the Lok Sabha. Only a member of the Parliament can vote inside the Parliament. But even if I'm not a member of the Parliament, I have some privilege. I can visit Parliament. I can speak there. I can be a member of any parliamentary committee except right to vote. I don't have the right to vote. What is this? This is fact. What is this? This is conceptual clarity. So UPSC in prelims will focus on if appointment to constitutional post is a topic. One such constitutional post is Attorney General for India. But this topic is relevant for prelims as well as mains exam. But what sort of questions can be asked? For that, you have to go through previous year's question papers. And by looking at previous year's question papers, you will find answer to another question, which is how to study. And by looking at these previous year's question papers, UPSC will focus on facts and concepts for prelims. And for mains examination, UPSC will focus on elaboration and analysis. And for this question, which is focusing on facts and concepts, Attorney General can take part in the proceedings of Lok Sabha, yes. Can become a member of a committee of Lok Sabha, yes. Can speak in the Lok Sabha, yes, but cannot vote in the Lok Sabha. Which of the statements given above are correct? C, 1, 2, 3 is the right answer. But when it comes to mains exam, analysis, elaboration. Elaborate whatever you have studied regarding Attorney General for India. And the question is, the Attorney General is the chief legal advisor and lawyer of the government of India. Discuss. What is this chief legal advisor? Let's say, for example, the government decides to bring in Citizenship Amendment Bill. What is Citizenship Amendment Bill? The government decides that there are religious minorities such as Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Sikhs. These are the religious minorities in our neighborhood in 3 neighboring countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. So in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, they have religious minorities which are being persecuted by these countries. And if they come to India, we will give them citizenship. This Citizenship Amendment Bill was passed by the Parliament in the year 2019, and this Citizenship Amendment Bill became the Citizenship Amendment Act. Because when both houses of the Parliament pass a bill, what is a bill? Bill is a proposal. What is a proposal? The proposal is, dear Parliament, can you please allow us to amend this law called citizenship law so that we can provide citizenship to the religiously persecuted minorities coming from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh. When this proposal was passed by the Parliament, by both houses of the Parliament, then sent to the President, when President signed this bill became an act, it became law of the land, it was implemented. But before this bill is presented to the Parliament, the government gets in touch with Attorney General. Attorney General, please come. Sir, what? We have this proposal. We want to give citizenship on the grounds of religion. So we are saying, if you are from these religious communities, Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, Sikhs, on the grounds of religion, on the basis of religion, we want to give you citizenship. Can we do this? Is it constitutional? Please give us your advice. Please give us your legal advice. Because tomorrow, if somebody would challenge this law, if somebody will file a case in the court against this law, you will have to defend us because you are going to be our lawyer. And there are multiple cases pending against Citizenship Amendment Act in the Supreme Court. And who is defending the central government in the Supreme Court? Attorney General for India. And that is why this question was asked in the examination. This question was asked in 2021, which primarily means that whatever is mentioned in your syllabus, make notes of this and keep a track of current affairs, recent developments from that topic. And for prelims, you will have to focus on facts and concepts. And when it comes to the mains examination, you will have to focus on analysis and elaboration. And this is how you will answer every question that is asked in your examination. Not just this. You can keep sending me your doubts, and towards the end of this lecture, I'll be in a position to resolve all the doubts that you can have. So we will have a one-on-one session with all of you. Whatever doubts you have, you can shoot your questions, comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer all your doubts and queries. Very good. One more topic, because I want to make it as simple, as clear for you as possible so that there is no doubt in your mind as to what this exam is all about and what it takes to crack this exam in a single attempt. There is something called joint sitting of both the houses of the Parliament. What is this joint sitting? Let's say, for example, there is a bill, Citizenship Amendment Bill, for example. It should be passed by Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and then by the President. President is an integral part of parliament. Bill should be passed by the parliament. And parliament includes president, Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. So this citizenship amendment bill should be passed by, let's say, first Lok Sabha, then Rajya Sabha, or first Rajya Sabha, then Lok Sabha, and then it should be sent to the president for signature. If president signed this bill becomes an act, it becomes law of the land. Now, what if Lok Sabha passes this bill, but Rajya Sabha does not? Lok Sabha says, yes, we should give citizenship. Rajya Sabha says, no, we don't want to give citizenship. Or Rajya Sabha says, we should give citizenship. Lok Sabha says, no, we don't want to give citizenship. Then on this particular bill, there is a deadlock. Because one house agrees with this proposal, the other house does not agree. So what is the solution? The solution is, under the constitution, president can call a joint sitting. President says, okay, since Lok Sabha is in agreement, Rajya Sabha is not in agreement, or Rajya Sabha is in agreement, Lok Sabha is not in agreement, why can't we do one thing? Let's come together. Let's jointly have a session where both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha members, they will come together, discuss this bill. Then we will decide whether this bill is passed or not. Joint sitting. Now, what sort of question can be asked? When a bill is referred to a joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament, it has to be passed by simple majority of members present and voting, 3/4 majority, 2/3 majority, absolute majority. So when you look at parliament, which is one topic mentioned in your syllabus, everything that is there in the parliament you have to read. But how you have to read this? Joint sitting is one concept in the legislature, in the parliament. And in joint sitting, the question can be asked is, if a bill is referred to joint sitting, what is the type of majority required? Basically, how many members should vote in favor of this bill so that this bill is passed? And the answer is a simple majority of members present and voting. So what is UPSC focusing on? UPSC is judging your facts, testing your facts. But when it comes to mains exam, the UPSC is asking in a different fashion. The Indian Constitution has provisions for holding joint sessions of the two houses of the parliament. Enumerate the occasions when this would normally happen and also the occasions when it cannot, with the reasons thereof. But do you know why this question was asked? This question was asked in 2017. Why? Because at that time, there was a dispute on GST, goods and services tax. The central government wanted to impose GST, but opposition, they were not too keen on GST. They were opposing the GST. And this GST should be passed by Lok Sabha as well as by Rajya Sabha and then sent to the president for signature. But in Rajya Sabha, the government was in a minority. The government did not have the majority in Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha, opposition had the majority. And opposition was saying, no, we will not allow GST. Then in that case, some experts or some politicians said, why can't we have joint session so that parliament will have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha put together and we will discuss GST. But then newspapers wrote articles saying on GST, we cannot have joint sitting. Why? Because GST is a constitutional amendment bill. Any bill, any proposal which wants to amend the constitution, change the constitution, alter the constitution, that is a constitutional amendment bill. And constitutional amendment bill shall have to be passed by both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha separately. That means for a constitutional amendment bill, there is no concept of a joint sitting. So if there is a dispute, if there is a misunderstanding on GST, if there is no consensus on GST, if there is no unanimity on GST, for that you cannot have a joint sitting. This was the debate in 2017. And the same year, in mains exam, UPSC asked on this joint sitting a mains-based question. Now, you don't have to only look at, okay, this is joint sitting, who can convene a joint sitting, what sort of majority is required. You also have to ask yourself this question, under what circumstances can joint sitting be called? And which are those areas where we can't have a joint sitting? On money bill, we can't have a joint sitting. On a constitutional amendment bill, we can't have a joint sitting. When you want to approve the emergency, we can't have a joint sitting. On others, we can have joint sitting. And this is something that you will have to focus. This is how UPSC creates this distinction between what is important for prelims, what is important for mains examination. And that is what I want to tell you. I beseech you, urge you, please do not neglect two and the only two official documents released by the UPSC. If these are the only two documents released by UPSC, look at the significance of these documents. One is the syllabus. Understand the syllabus, you will find answer to a question, what to study. But look at previous year's question papers, you will find answers to two other very equally important questions. How to study and what not to study. And for that, I told you that you have to look at every single topic that is mentioned in your syllabus, make notes of it and link it with current affairs. Once you do that, you're going to crack this examination. I'll give you one more example, because you will tell that sir is only giving examples related to polity. Now, we want some other explanation. GS paper 3. It talks about one topic, security challenges and their management in border areas. Linkages of organized crime with terrorism. This is a topic. You'll have to make notes on this topic. Clear? And whatever is happening in this country, basically part of current affairs, you will have to link it. What happened? 2019, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act was amended. The year was 2019. National Investigation Agency Act was amended. NIA, 2611, Mumbai attacks, when the terrorists from across the border passed through the sea, entered India and wreaked havoc in the financial capital of our country, Mumbai. Targeted the top industrialists, targeted the top hotels, the Taj, the Oberoi, the Trident, and ultimately led to the killing of close to 300 innocent citizens as well as some foreigners. In response to this 2611 attacks, the then government decided to have one agency which is going to investigate all the terror-related activities and cases in India. And an organization was created, an organization was born called NIA, National Investigation Agency, was created. The year was 1967 when UAPA was passed, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. But prior to 2019, listen to me carefully, prior to 2019, only organizations could have been declared as terrorist organizations or unlawful organizations. Now in 2019, the government decided, why only organizations? Why can't we declare an individual as terrorist as well? So an individual whom we call a lone wolf. I may be a lone wolf. I am not part of any terror organization, but I can still indulge in terrorism. I should also be declared as terrorist. Why should we only declare organizations as terrorist or unlawful organizations? Individuals can also be designated as terrorists. And that is how UAPA was amended in 2019. When you open a newspaper, UAPA has been amended, NIA Act has been amended. Do I have to read this? Go back to syllabus. Syllabus talks about terrorism. Syllabus talks about security challenges, which means I have to read UAPA as well as NIA. And if I have to read this, what sort of question can be asked in the examination? Look at the mains question. Indian government has recently strengthened the anti-terrorism laws by amending the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UAPA 1967, and the NIA Act. Analyze the changes in the context of prevailing security environment while discussing the scope and reasons for opposing the UAPA by human rights organizations. Why have I picked this question? Listen to me carefully. if UAPA has been changed, in your notes, you have to mention the provisions which have changed, and you have to write arguments in favor as well as arguments against. So don't be blind to one side of ideology. As I told you before, any policy of the government, any law passed by the parliament can have positive impact, can have negative impact, can have some positive features, can have some negative features, can have some advantages, can have some disadvantages. Don't focus on only one aspect. Don't focus only on the negatives. Don't focus only on the positives. Take a back seat and analyze this entire law from both angles, positives as well as negatives. That is what the question is asking you to do. You have to ensure that in your answer, you have to mention what was the need to bring in this law, to bring in these changes, and at the same time, also take into account the concerns raised by human rights organizations, which said all these changes in UAPA and NIA, these go against the individual liberty, against the individual freedom of speech and expression, against the human rights. So UAPA has been changed. Is this topic relevant for my exam? Yes, because security, challenge, and terrorism is a topic mentioned in the syllabus. Now, all these changes that have been made, I will make notes. And I will also include arguments in favor of these changes, arguments against these changes, because I don't know what sort of question can be asked by the UPSC. The UPSC may ask me to focus only on the advantages. UPSC may ask me to focus only on the disadvantages as well. So I have to prepare for both worlds. That is why you will have to follow one mantra called 5Ws 1H. What is UAPA? Not just what is UAPA, why was UAPA changed or amended? When did these changes happen? Who made all these changes? Can states also make these changes, or can only parliament make these changes? How are these changes perceived by various institutions, by various individuals? What are the arguments in favor? What are the arguments against? And where is the application of this law in the Indian security environment? If you follow every topic from this prism of 5Ws 1H, you will not miss out anything, because you are covering a topic from all angles. And by making notes, you have to follow this 5Ws 1H. That's something, somebody asked me this question, sir, how do I make notes? Make notes like this. What is the issue? Who are the people involved? Where is the impact? How is the impact? Look at every issue from this prism of 5Ws 1H, make notes, and I'm guaranteeing you the success. That's how you will have to make notes. Few more things. Current affairs, as I told you, is very important for this examination. For example, look at last year. All these startups which were trading or indulging in cryptos, they were booming, and now there is a downfall. Cryptocurrency, do I have to read this? Because everybody seems to be investing in cryptos, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and others. Do I have to read this? Yes, it is part of science and technology. So I have to read this. But the first question that I have to keep in mind is, what are cryptocurrencies? And that's what the question is asking. How does it affect global society? Has it impacted India as well? That's the question that is asked. So if you have looked at cryptocurrency from this prism of 5Ws 1H, now tell me, would you not be in a position to answer this question? Because you have covered this topic from all angles. That is how you have to make notes. And that is why I told you that the most important thing for this examination is that you have to understand the syllabus and look at previous year's question papers and link it with current affairs. If I have to summarize whatever I have said as of now. But please, for God's sake, make notes. It is not time consuming, it is time saving. Please make notes, because making notes will help you in revision, will help you in answer writing, and making notes ultimately is going to be your time saver. That is something that I wanted to discuss today. Now, at the same time, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm going to take all these questions one by one. So, does handwriting affect? Your handwriting should be legible. If I'm evaluating your answers, I should be able to understand what you're writing. You don't have to write in beautiful. But if your handwriting is poor, don't worry about this. Just ensure that whatever you are writing is legible to the examiner. That's it. One year before the prelims exam, if you start, and if you're able to devote 6 hours of quality time every day, you are able to crack this exam. You will be able to crack this exam. This is unfortunately a myth perpetrated maybe by coaching institutes, that you will have to study for 12 hours or 16 hours a day. It's not possible, and it is not even required to study for 16 hours. If 1 year before the prelims exam, you are able to start your preparation and you are able to devote 6 hours of quality time, then I don't see any reason why you can't crack this examination. Because the ultimate agenda is that whatever is mentioned in the syllabus, that should be covered. If you're covering every topic in the syllabus, then what is the reason to worry? Focus then should be on mocks. Give as many tests as possible. That's going to take you to your destination. Sir, how to manage study by working as well? This is where, forgive me for saying this, but since I told you in the beginning, I don't want to misguide you. And that's the only reason I'm telling you this. You need some assistance. If you are working somewhere, if you're studying in a college or a university, and at the same time you want to prepare for this exam, you need assistance. You need some element of what is known as coaching. But don't blindly rely on coaching. Coaching plus self-study is going to help you crack this exam. Now, why am I saying this? I gave you examples on joint sitting, whistleblowers protection, on UAPA security challenges. Is it possible for you to manage your work or your studies along with UPSC studies? It is possible, but it's going to take you time. Time in the sense, first you need to understand what is important. That is going to take some time. Then you also need to understand, where do I pick the relevant information, because I have to study multiple newspapers or multiple websites to gather the information. Then I have to make notes. So it's going to be time consuming. If you join my class, for example, I'll tell you in half an hour what is UAPA and how UAPA is linked with current affairs, so that you rely on the coaching institutes, on the live classes, for example. And ultimately, once you have attended that lecture, then you have to revise. That is what is known as self-study. Both these things put together is going to save your time and ultimately make your success easier and in less possible time. That's the only benefit of a coaching or a live class, so on and so forth. How long to read current affairs for 2023? Tripti, ideally 1 year before the prelims. If you're appearing for 2023 prelims, then June 2022 onwards, that current affairs you have to focus on. But now, we have witnessed a trend. Listen to me carefully. We have witnessed a trend where sometimes the current affairs topics of last 2 years or last 3 years also have been asked by the UPSC. For that, what is the solution? Does that mean you have to read newspapers from 2020 onwards and then you can be prepared for this exam? I'll give you a simple solution. The solution is read current affairs from June 2022 onwards. But then there are some free videos available on our YouTube channel. Target Prelims Crash Course. And in this Target Prelims Crash Course, we focused only on current affairs of that particular year. So we have covered current affairs of 2020, 2021, 2022 in these free videos available on our YouTube channel. Watch those videos, plus follow current affairs from June 2022 onwards. That's going to be enough for you. Aarti, first, we should prepare for optional subject or GS. Do not ever prepare for an optional subject before GS. First, it should be GS, then optional. But I'm not saying first complete GS, then take up optional. No. At least spend 4 months on your GS preparation and then take up an optional subject. Why? Because once you read these 4 important subjects, 4 basic subjects, for example, polity, economics, geography, history, or international relations, maybe you will fall in love with geography and you'll say, I'll take geography as an optional. Maybe you'll fall in love with polity and say, no, I'll take public administration or political science as an optional. Clear? Or you are too much involved and you understand the society of India, you can very well take sociology as an optional. Clear? So first spend few months, at least 4 months on your GS preparation and then focus on the optionals. Sir, Polity by M. Lakshmikant is enough for polity? My dear, I told you M. Lakshmikant, which is one book for polity, yes, plus newspaper. Lakshmikant is not going to help you in your mains exam. The M. Lakshmikant book on Indian polity is focusing only on concepts, not even concept, is only focusing on facts. So that can help you in your prelims exam, but not for mains exam. Absolutely not for mains exam. And for mains exam, you have to link it with current affairs. Whatever is mentioned in Lakshmikant, link it with current affairs. That is going to prepare you for your mains examination. When to start answer writing? Ideally, this is the question that you can answer yourself. If I tell you start answer writing on day 0, can you do that? No. Why? Because to answer a question, I need information. I need knowledge. Without knowledge, what am I going to write? So at least prepare 25 to 30% of the syllabus of that subject before you can embark on answer writing. That should be the goal. Sakshi sir, if I have background in zoology, can I take zoology? Very good. Yes, you can. Sir, if a question says to explain a topic, how should we write it? In points or in paragraph? I would always recommend write in points whenever possible, make diagram that's going to add to your score. Sir, nowadays prelims is becoming more and more unpredictable. No, it's not becoming unpredictable. It was meant to be unpredictable. Because what is UPSC? Unpredictable Service Commission, Union Public Service Commission. There is no such thing as unpredictability. You have to focus on all aspects. That's what our forefathers used to say. Prepare for the best, hope for the worst. But I'm telling you, if you are working hard, you will have to even hope for the best. So prelims is not becoming unpredictable. Why it's not becoming unpredictable? Because you're only focusing on those questions which are difficult. My dear, there are 100 questions in prelims for GS paper 1, right? There will always be 15, sometimes 20 questions which will be very difficult, which nobody can answer or very few can answer. Don't focus on those difficult questions. Focus on the remaining ones. If you alter your preparation pattern by only looking at those difficult questions, you are going to lose. Forget about these 20 questions. In any case, we are not going to answer those questions. Focus on the remaining 80. And what is the cutoff these days? 87, 90, 100. Focus on the remaining, please. How to use tablet program for maximum benefit. If you are already a tablet student, you can get in touch with me through our mentors. I'm going to tell you this is primarily for every single aspirant, not necessarily BYJU'S students. That's the purpose. This is our way of helping the students, those who are not part of the BYJU'S family. If you're already part of the BYJU'S family, whether you are part of the tablet learning program or a classroom program or live classroom program, please get in touch to me through your mentors. I will speak to you personally. To make current affairs notes, digital or handwritten, your call. Whatever works for you, please follow that. There is no hard and fast rule that you should only make notes in a physical format or on digital format. Whatever works for you, do it. Don't complicate things. If writing digitally works for me, I'll do that. What's the issue? Sir, Hindu or the Indian Express? This is a call that you can take. Both are equally good. If you ask me personally, I would recommend the Indian Express. Is NCRT good material for exam? NCRT is a very good material for exam, but NCRT alone will not help. NCRT, then the books, the standard books that you have to follow. Sir, can I take history as an optional? You can take any optional, provided you are able to complete the syllabus of that optional in a shortest possible time. You can take up any optional. There was one very good question by Prince. Yes, now I found it. Mr. Sarmad, please consider my question on high priority mode. Actually, these days, it's not possible to get proper assistance on online mode. The mentor not able to provide mentorship in online mode very effectively. Please give crystal clear answer. I don't think there is any difference between online and offline. In fact, online saves you a lot of time. For example, if I was a student, I would prefer online medium. Why? Because look at the convenience it gives you. I'm not saying this because we are teaching online. We have offline classes as well. Whether you are in Delhi, Jaipur, Allahabad, Kolkata, Pune, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, we are present in all these cities. So I'm not saying this because we are an online player. We teach online, live. No, I'm saying despite the fact that we have classes offline, I would still prefer online. Why? because I don't have to dress up to go to a class. I don't have to wait in the queue to attend the class. I don't have to wait for the teacher. When is he coming? He may be late for the class. And look at the amount of time it takes me to commute to my class and then back. And imagine if I'm a working professional, or imagine if I'm a student of a university or a college, I can't do that. And that's going to waste a lot of my time. The convenience that online provides is beautiful. Right from the comfort of my home, I can attend to the best possible lectures available. And I can get in touch with the mentors and discuss the problems without attending a class, without going to a physical class. That, I think, is convenient. I don't know, every individual is wired differently. I would say, if I was at your place, I would prefer a live online class, because that saves a lot of time. That's me. It may be different for you. Okay, that was it. Thank you so much for staying with us on Saturday evening. If you have liked this session, you should also rate the session as well once the session is over. I wish all of you a bright, bright future. May all your legitimate dreams come true. Thank you so much for staying with me. If you want to get in touch with us to learn more about the programs that we offer, please get in touch with us. I wish I'm going to teach all of you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Good night.